Hello and happy Friday, everyone. As you can tell, the sun is somewhat shining. Yeah, you can see me, so it's fine. Today, when I was walking back from nursery, I was thinking about what to talk about today, what was coming through, and this one was coming through, and I was like, this feels more like a rant. So I don't want this to be going into a rant. So let's just see how this goes. So as you can probably tell from the title, it is called the 3-hour mum debate, and it's something that I've read about quite a lot over the last, I guess, especially 24 hours, and it's to do with a mum in the spotlight only spending 3 hours a day on the weekends with their children. Now, and everyone started to have an opinion about that. And I'm just like, okay, it doesn't really matter so much if I agree with it or not. It's about, as a mum, she's doing whatever feels good for her. And yet she's still being judged. And I think this happens quite a lot in society, in motherhood, that we are being judged for what we're doing. Because everyone has their own opinions, everyone has all of these things to say that what is right and what's wrong. Now, what I really sort of stand for, and the work that I do, is just finding your own rhythm and working with that. And the amount of time you spend with your children, the amount of time you look after yourself, your business, your work, whatever it is all part of that. So it's almost like, can we just stop judging other mothers or mothers in general? And I think because she's taken it to quite an extreme, in that sense, where she's saying, oh, I'm only spending my time with my children for 3 hours a day on the weekend. I'm actually going to close this. But here we go, that's a little bit better. That's her choice, though, and it is quite extreme from what we are, I guess, grown up with, where we go to work Monday to Friday, 9 to 5, and then evenings are for family and the weekends are for family. That is generally how we grew up, right? And anything out of that norm is almost like, it questions our safety, I guess, and it's like, this is not normal. And there is, I guess, part of us, especially as mothers as well, we love our children, and it's just like, why would you not want to spend time with the children? And 3 hours isn't enough, and blah 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 blah. And as I said, that there's I've seen so many so many posts and comments, and I'm just when I had no idea what the heck this was about. So what is this 3-hour mum all about? Where people are saying, I do the other way around. I do 3 hours work and 21 hours spent with my family. But a lot of the, when I was reading it, and if you don't know me, I read very much between the lines. I can feel your energy in just reading. I know exactly what's going on. And when I was reading these things, I'm just like, you're just judging that mother and essentially telling her it's wrong. And it is wrong for you, maybe, and that's fine. I don't necessarily personally agree with it, but that doesn't mean that I'm right and she is wrong, or anyone at all. And I feel like that there's a whole other debate to be had, where it's not about the 3-hour mum thing. It's just about, can we just stop judging mums? We're all doing our best with what we've got. And that should be good enough. That shouldn't be, we shouldn't be judged for that. And especially when we are like this woman, this mother, where she's like obviously in the spotlight and everything, but she's found her own rhythm, and that should be celebrated. If it doesn't look the way that we, raise our children, that we want to do it life, that's fine. We can still celebrate other people for other, not just women, just other people for like living their own rhythm and just like living their own life in a way that feels good for them. Because at the end of the day, that is exactly what we want to do, right? That's what we do want for ourselves. That's what we want for our family. So can we just do that? It's so, especially also in the online world, it's so easy to criticize other women. And and I know, because I've been there myself, like I didn't necessarily agree with something and I just jumped on the bandwagon essentially in the past, whereas like now I'm just like, no, I might not agree with this person, like the way that they live their life, how they raise their children, but I can see that they're doing this because it works for them. It makes them happy, like it creates a life that they want. And that's not the life that I want to create, but that doesn't mean that they are wrong and I'm right. It just means that they are right in their own way, right? So how many times can you say right? But I think this is like today's like transmission. It's pretty much just like, let's just like tune into our own rhythm, like our what is it that we want our life to look like? Is it that we want to spend all weekend with our children, with our family? Is it that we maybe don't and we want to have more time with ourselves and maybe see friends or go on adventures or whatever it is? And I feel like we should be able to do this without any judgment. And once we start like disconnecting from, oh, we might be judged, maybe people, maybe they will say X amount, no, not X amount, maybe they'll say this about me or that about me, whatever it is. But I feel like we just need to disconnect from that. Like, I don't, like a lot of people that I follow, I don't necessarily want their life. It doesn't mean though that they're wrong. I still like, and that's the thing also, we can take bits from other people that we like, or from other like families, from other dynamics, whatever it is, and incorporate that into our life in a way that works for us. So maybe it's not that you have like the 3-hour mum. Maybe it's about the whole notion about it, because she's doing that, like the 3-hour mum thing, to spend more time with herself and just for herself. So maybe it's just like, oh, maybe on the weekends I'll take 1 hour for myself, just away from family. And maybe that's what you take from that. And if that's what you take from it, great. It's just about whatever, like what works for you, what is your own like little rhythm, and that also can also change during your own cycle and your own rhythm. But it's like, I just ask, like, instead of like jumping onto that bandwagon of, oh, how can she neglect her children? By the way, I haven't read all of the comments, so I don't even know if that's what they say, but I can imagine that. Yeah, instead of like jumping on that bandwagon, just maybe like think for yourself, just like, what number one, why is this triggering so for me? Because if you, quite often when we are jumping on a bandwagon, it is because it's triggering something inside of us. So, and maybe it is triggering because you do want to have spend some time for yourself, like maybe an hour or half an hour or whatever, and you feel like you can't at the moment. Maybe it's because you want to actually spend more time with the children, or more quality time. Maybe you, and I'm very much guilty of that, are on your phone quite a lot when you're with your family. I'm very much guilty of that, and that's something that I'm very consciously working on at the moment, that I like really be very present. So, and maybe that's why it's triggered you so much. What essentially, whatever it is, just feel into it. Don't jump on the bandwagon. If you have, there's no judgment here, obviously, but just look at yourself, and if it's triggered you, to think why, and maybe what you can change so that it won't trigger you in future, i.e. implement little things that take some time for yourself, like be more present, whatever it is. And that will then, like, that it's, to me, like the word that comes back to all, like, in my head at the moment is like the judgment. Like, can we just let go of the judgment of others, of other women doing their own thing? And I think, like, if you're here, you will be into all of this, because that's me. It very much almost reminds me of like the witch trials and like burned witches and stuff, where she's just being put up to the stake. That is, for me, energetically what it feels like at the moment. I think this is why it's come up for me today to actually mention it here, because we don't want to go there, and it's just our modern day way, isn't it, just to like comment and like almost like put people down. I'm not saying that people have done that, but just general thing, people keep putting people down, which is like a little witch hunt on its own. And I think this is why it's like so like important for me to actually talk about this as well, because I know I do a lot of like work with my like sort of ancestors and previous lives and stuff, and I know that there is a lot with the witch wound around for me. And I think when I see this in like our modern day, it almost like triggers something in me, and I know that. So that is, I also know it needs to be talked about, which is why I'm doing here, because if we are not talking about this and just keep judging and just keep putting people down, again, I'm not saying that's what people have done in this case, but just generally, it's never going to change. And we always have this like witch wound that's just going to come out and everything. So this was not actually so much of a rant. I thought that was not a rant at all, actually, which is nice. I didn't want to go into a rant, but I feared it may go into one. But yeah, so like, just look at what works for you, and just essentially just forget, like, don't look at any outside stuff. Like, don't just ignore what everyone else is doing, because that's the other thing, right? Like, because we start comparing ourselves to others and everything, and it just does not work. It just then throws us out of whack, out of our own rhythm, out of our own power as well. Okay, I think we are quite good now for the moment. But if you like want to know more about like reconnecting yourself, like living your own rhythm and all of that, go to my Substack. The link is actually below. For £5 a month, you can actually, if you subscribe, you get like monthly women's circles. I've just put a gorgeous ceremony online as well, just for paid subscribers, which is like going through the 8 womb gates to like really start reconnecting with yourself and finding your own rhythm. So the link for that is below, and I will speak to you soon. Bye.